fight, baby, I don't wanna taste blood. I know it's coming even when she doesn't say much. There's nothing left, so it's really gonna save us. We'll have a couple drinks and act like we don't hate us.
Welcome back to the Full Perspective Season 2. How about that intro song?
Yeah, you know, that was just some hard work and dedication by me to bring you probably a Grammy-nominated recording. Probably in, 2024, we'll get Grammy-nominated for that song. So.
Yeah, when we're big.
Yeah.
Nothing
new.
Yeah, but we're back with Season 2. We had a great Season 1, some really cool people on here. And we made some upgrades, as you can see.
Mm-hmm.
Go over that a little bit. We got a little 4K action in the camcorder.
Yeah, you can see my pimples on my face now.
Yep, the
If
sweat.
you're watching this on YouTube, and if you're not watching this on YouTube, come on.
Yeah.
You want to see our faces, come on, it looks pretty good, so.
You can see my bald head.
It's beautiful.
Yep. We added some lighting in here. We got the stands for the mics and a round table, a nice little logoed carpet here, some memorabilia from some guests that we had, and then we at the end of the day, we're still a grassroots program, but we're learning, and we had some miscues here and there, but at the end of the day,
live and learn.
This is our first podcast, and the real important people are the people that we meet and the people that we have in here. So
yeah, the biggest part of this podcast is just meeting these people and giving the world their knowledge, right? Or their perspectives, right? So when you have, little hiccups here and there, you get around them because it's whatever. But the main reason we do this is so we can hear their story, right?
Yeah. And, I've sat in here when Dredd is on the computer and just been like, this is a grassroots program, looking them eye to eye and just being like,
we can't use this because it is corrupted. And for some reason, the audio messed up here. And this is a sad point, but we move on and we still get our guest stories across no matter what. Yeah. Right. But
we're good. So we had, the last time that me and you sat down was episode 6 of season 1, which is 5 episodes ago. And we reflected on me and you were episode 1, and then we had B Chippy in here, episode 2, former WPI football player, now engineer. We had Rob Carmody on episode 3, catcher, hard-nosed kid, mask guy, from Hartford, captain, was at the University of Hartford for 5 years. Now he works in the recruiting world. We had Molly Williams, episode 4, former UMass soccer player, career-ending head injury. There was a lot of mental stuff that came with that. Very interesting story.
It's a good one.
Episode 4, and she is now a product analyst for TJX, I believe. Episode 5, we had Maddie Campos, Suffolk, dropped out of there, grabbed the social media world by the you-know-whats, and has skyrocketed in that aspect. On GQ magazine.
GQ doing reels now. Already got millions there. It's just
making some coin off social media.
Non-existent.
Yeah.
And like you were saying, he wants to be full-time influencer. So look for that in the future.
Yep. And then we had our episode 6 reflection. So we're going to go ahead and reflect the people that we had in on the tail end of episode 1. Like I said, great season. And if you want to listen to an episode after hearing this reflection, or just be like, oh, damn, I didn't hear, blah, blah, blah's story, you can go on our Instagram, on our YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music. We have a link tree in our bio that you can be linked to and find all of us there.
Yep, at the Full Perspective Pod.
Yep.
Social.
So each episode, we say to people somewhere in the 40 minutes or so, but I know we had T-Fraz, Taylor Frazier come on here, and it ended up being an hour. But usually every episode, we understand that, podcasts can only go so long. So we try to keep it in that 45 to an hour window. So with our guests. But hey, we're a conversation. We're not a press conference.
Yeah.
So
not an interview, not a press conference, strictly a conversation. However it flows, it flows. Do you think me and Ed come in here with questions?
Nope.
Look at us. Come on.
No.
We just speak.
Nothing written down. And I think that's the beauty of it. I think our guests like it a lot. We're not peppering them with, questions. We're not, doing the stuff because that's not really where I want to be at.
Nope.
I'm not a reporter. You're not a reporter. I'm a person who likes to talk to people, meet new people, and kick back with some old friends. So, like everything in life, conversations can, take longer than expected. Yeah. So, all good in the hood there. But let's jump. You like that?
That was a good one.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that phrase in
all
years.
Good in the hood. Let's jump right in. Episode 7 here. We had Tyler Drevich on, Merrimack College, member of the Hockey East Conference. I think the best way to describe it to people is it is literally the best conference in the United States of America for college hockey.
Yes.
Tyler Drevich played there for 4 years, was a captain of that team, and he went on to play in the Pittsburgh Penguins organization on the Wheeling Nailers. Dretta, takeaways from that podcast, what you liked from it?
Where do you begin? Since he was little, the guy was grinding. The sacrifice, the amount of sacrifice hockey players have to make life-wise to the sport is kind of ridiculous. You basically leave school all the time. You go play tournaments. You don't really have too much of a social life. You go to Canada all the time. You go across the state all the time. Everywhere. For this situation in New England, all over. Basically, you go to camps all around. And when it comes to when you start leveling up and going into the pro scene and into juniors, you're going to places that you've never heard of, right? So the sacrifice is massive because you're just working on yourself and your game the entire time. And you don't really extend out so much.
Yeah.
What you have is your team.
Yeah. So. I think part of his story that you're touching on and what sticks out in my mind is when he mentioned how he's at the pro level. It's a Friday night, and he's making the sacrifice of, doing what he has to do to be the best version of himself on the ice. Mm-hmm. And he's sitting there on a Friday night with his brother doing this, his family doing this, people are doing this, people are there, and he's just like, damn,
Yeah, there's a sense
I am sacrificing.
There's a sense of FOMO, too. Like, oh, my friend's getting married, and he's like, dude, I'm still trying to make the NHL.
Yeah, I have 82 games that I have to play.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is.
Exactly.
For minors.
And I'm still worried about getting cut if they start making some crazy moves. You know what I'm saying? The life is so crazy.
Yeah. And I think that's what often goes unsaid and not thought about by the general crowd or population or fans or whatever you call it of pro athletes was there is such a mental side of that in terms of not just the X's and O's in the game, but also the mental side of being away from your family for a long period of time. Even if you live with your family, right? If you have wives and girlfriends and kids and whatever, and you're in a season, you're typically on the road. You're typically doing this. You're typically doing that. You're typically at practice. You're watching film, blah, 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 blah. Yep. And it could easily take a toll on you mentally if you let it. And I think we got a little insight of that from Tyler.
Yeah.
Of being a pro and sort of having to sacrifice that much time and dedication for the sport itself.
Yeah, he talked about it.
Yeah.
How it did take a toll on him.
Yep.
And where he had that summer where he was kind of iffy.
Yep.
And he just kind of said, look, I'm here to do what I want to do because I love the game of hockey and I'm going to keep going, even though it maybe won't work out, but I'm going to do what I set out to do, which is, I think, the most mentally challenging thing.
Yeah. And his story was great. I mean, he's still playing. I think, is he out there yet? Tyler, are you out there yet?
I think you're leaving either in a week or you're there now.
Yeah. So he's in it for another one. And living the dream, Tyler. Hockey guy through and through.
Hey, you get paid playing a sport?
Play for as long as you can, baby.
That's tippable,
Yep. So that was a great episode. That was episode 7. Tune into that if you want to hear a pro hockey guy and what goes on and the mental side of that. Then we moved on to Jamie Melly, former UMass captain. You'll see that here. We're friends with a lot of captains, a lot of leaders. Jamie was a field hockey player at UMass 4 years. Now lives in Boston.
Can we stop for a second?
Yeah.
That just reminded me, like what you were saying earlier. This isn't a sports-based podcast, right? Because I know we introduce a lot of people with their accolades and what they did in sports, but the main reason we bring them on here is just for their experience and what they've gone through. And most of them, the common denominator within all of them is they were a leader at some point or they played a sport at 100%. Some point. They're a team player at some point. That's why most of them talk about their sports life, but you don't necessarily have to play a sport to be in here.
100%. I mean? And I'm so happy you brought that up because I know we did earlier and I forgot about it. But people have said, you know, when I've asked them, hey, would you ever come on to the podcast? Really interested, like down the road. And they say, oh, I don't play a sport. And I'm just like, damn, like I don't want that to be the perception. We have a lot of sports players in here because like me and you, that's kind of where our friend group is. Like we hang out with a lot of sports people just because that is what we did. We spent a lot of time with those people. So yeah, like you don't have to be a athlete to come in here. And like you said, like you just have to, you know, give your perspective on what you do. And I'm fascinated to hear about other aspects of other avenues of people.
Yeah, so. Everyone's been through something at the end of the day. So
yeah.
But back to Jamie, the queen.
Yeah. Jamie had a unique story. She committed to UMass, and then her senior summer, her mom passed away.
Yes, because she was going into freshman year, she said.
Yeah. And talk about a transition, man, going to freshman year in that, you know, new world, big, small fish, big pond, especially UMass, a lot of people there. And then something family like that happens, like that's tough. And to hear her story, hear how well she's doing now and how she got through that, I think was definitely enlightening for not only me, but I think those listening as well.
Yeah. Like if you lose a parent in general, I think that's probably the hardest, one of the more hard. If you lose a sibling or a loved one in general, while you're transitioning somewhere in life, that's probably the hardest moment to go through, especially alone. When you go into college, you're most likely alone. You know, you said little fish, big pond. It's really the truth of it.
Yeah.
You know, so it's all props to her that she's able to come out of that.
Yeah.
I'm going to say not alive as in like, you know, a suicide thing and like depression wise. I'm saying alive as in like she made it through all that shit.
And is in a really
good spot. She didn't slip down the hill like a lot of people could have.
She didn't give up in anything.
Exactly. And that's what's the most impressive thing about her.
Yeah. Jamie's an absolute savage. And I love her. And she's one of the most personable people that I've met.
Very kind. Very kind.
Definitely a luxury and a privilege to be friends with her. And to hear that story, like we've never really talked about it before. And I think, you know, that's the good thing about this podcast. And I think for people coming in here is to talk about stuff like that and go through some of the stuff that they went through because, you know, it might sound cliche or repetitive at this point, but there's a lot more going on with people in their daily lives than what you just see when they're, you know, a teacher or blah, 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 an athlete, you know.
Yeah, you just see the outer shell.
Yeah, you just see
the smile.
Yep.
That's
so
it.
I think her story was good. She played 4 years there, was a captain at the end of the day. I can tell you firsthand from being at UMass that the field hockey team was very good, very, very well regarded. And she played with people from multiple countries, which was interesting. She talked on that, different languages, like different cultures. Field hockey is a very European sport. So she enlightened us on that and field hockey itself. So I thought it was a great episode.
And how to bike 90 miles.
She did bike 90 miles, and me and you both committed.
And we fully committed to the next 90-mile bike ride.
So I will be biking 90 miles with Alex and Jamie.
Yeah, I'll live stream it.
Yeah, we can live it. We'll bring the fork.
We'll live stream it.
Yeah.
Twitch.tv.
But, yeah. Then we had Taylor Frazier, episode 9. Like you were just saying, non-sport guy. Sergeant in the military.
And quite frankly, probably one of the crazier episodes we've had in season 1.
Yep.
Just from experience and deployment-wise, you don't really get to hear much detail, you know, unless you're really looking on YouTube to find those types of things. So it's very interesting we got him on.
Yep. Sergeant, 3 deployments. Overall, Taylor's just an absolute savage. Like, one of my best friends was in his wedding. His family now, and you know, one of the military guys who, you know, I love listening to military people speak, and for him to come on here and talk about some stuff was like very interesting for me. We talked for over an hour, like I said, and we will have Taylor Frazier on again.
There is a part 2.
But I think one of the things that Taylor said was really interesting to me, and I think you caught on to it in the podcast with him here, was the PTSD thing. And we got into it. I don't know how. I didn't just ask him straight up, but he talked about it in terms of everybody, right?
Yes.
Everybody can have a PTSD of something. It can be anything. And it was interesting because he looked at emergency personnel, like, EMTs, like stuff like that, and saying like they probably have like more PTSD than like some of the guys that we had, like, and it was really cool to hear him speak about it because he's obviously in the military, and that gets coined as a thing, is PTSD in the military, just because of what it's meant in the past. But for him to relate it to everybody and sort of get his perspective on it, it was really, really cool to listen to.
That's the best thing he did the entire podcast, was he'd always relate his experiences back to not a normal life.
Yeah.
Because let's say the military is not a normal life.
No.
You're going in and doing operations. That is a totally different style of way of living, right? I don't even know if I call it a job. That's like, you know what I mean?
It's a service.
It's a service. Yeah, it's a service. And how he related all of his experiences back to any listener was incredible. Yeah. And I gave him his props. I was like, you do a very good job speaking on your experience and letting other people understand that they've probably experienced the same type of thing in their daily lives.
Yeah. And I think for military guys, the people that I know, they talk about stuff like that to people that they're close with, feel comfortable with. And for him to come on here and talk about it, it was great. And to give people a perspective of that, that he had, was even better. And, some things those guys don't like talking about. And
rightfully so.
Rightfully so, right? But, for the military people out there and for people listening, and hopefully I think we'll have other military guests on because I really like talking to them. Yeah. For the stuff that they do talk about, I'm all ears on it because I have the utmost respect for those people.
Yeah. And one thing to say about that, because we just have conversations in here and we don't jot things down and like, what'd you do this deployment. That's so stupid, right? We just want to have a conversation, whatever you're comfortable with. When we were talking about the PTSD stuff, and then he said, you know what? And we were just kind of silent for a second. He's like, I think my form of PTSD is funerals. Yeah. And that to me was a realization, like what we're talking about can also be therapeutic. Yeah. At the same time, for our guests, right? And I'm not just like going to big up ourselves or anything, but I think that's a very important breakthrough for this podcast, is that you can also have a guest up here and have a conversation where it's also okay to talk about it. Even in Molly's instance. Yep. Even that was a really sad moment, but it was also therapeutic for people to listen to it and understand where she's coming from and even help them through their own journey. So when Taylor said that, I was like, wow. Yeah, in Molly's case, I think she said this was the first time she's talked about it. Yeah. Like, openly. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, props to the guests, man. Like, as much as we want to learn about them, I think people can learn about themselves and, like, give themselves an opportunity to, like you said, go through, like, a therapeutic, like, not even, like, we're not talking therapy in here, but, like, it's good to talk about stuff like that. You know? It's good to just be open about it and be comfortable with it, because in my experiences and opinion on stuff that bothers people and troubles people, it's the worst thing to keep it to yourself, right? It's the worst thing to not talk about it and, internalize it. So I think that's all in all, I think you put it perfectly of him realizing that and opening up about that. Mm-hmm. But I mean, at the end of the day, like, every person, me and you both included, have stuff like that it's good to talk about. Yeah. Whatever the case may be. And I'm happy that Taylor brought it up. Me too. Then the last guest that we had was Nikki Hart, the only paid employee of this podcast up to date. She was she's on leave right now. She is on leave. I wonder how college is. It's probably so fun. I know. I miss those days. College is like, if you're not in college or you're going to attend college, just word of advice, just do everything possible and live it up. Yeah. That's it. We had her holding up a camera
until we upgraded to a camcorder.
Yeah, and a stand.
Yep. So thanks for Nikki on that. But
it's
Nikki,
not the same, Nikki. It's not the same.
I know. We miss you here, Nikki.
Yeah.
Nikki, URI, University of Rhode Island. She did cheerleading her freshman year. And we talked about that, I think, the whole podcast. But now she's doing kinesiology and wants to be a PA, from my understanding.
That big word.
Don't talk medical with me.
Don't do it.
Or military. Taylor and his acronyms and Nikki and her acronyms, military, medical, I'm not good at.
Right over the head.
Yeah.
Every time.
So she's taking the medical route, and she's living it up there. But when she was a cheerleader at URI, she spoke on some things that I didn't even know as her brother. Like,
yeah, which is really honestly crazy.
I know.
Because she didn't even tell you. It was just like a normal thing to her.
Yeah. Right? She broke her finger.
Twice, right?
On each hand.
Yes.
Was out here, Mr. Crabson.
With a pencil.
And
as a splint.
She splinted a pencil in her dorm room with her broken finger. And what pops out to me, because I'm a huge athletics guy, right? I work in athletics. I've worked in athletics in the past. I was part of it. It's just what I do, what I like to do.
Yeah.
And I'm passionate about it. And when I heard her story, it's one of those things that like bothers me a little bit, because it's not a major sport, right? It's not a football, basketball, hockey, or whatever.
Yeah.
And I said it on the podcast, though, her story would have been vastly different if they had the resources, as if there was a athletic trainer there or somebody in between her and the coaching staff. And that's a microcosm of what it's like for other sports in college, is especially in D2, D3 schools, no matter what the sport you're in, you don't get the necessary things to do all the time, or to have all the time. And for her to tell her story about that, it's even more apparent to me that, sports like that need more resources.
Yeah, I was saying that Nikki's podcast, we were both her episode, we were pretty mad. Yeah. Just listening to how awful she was treated. And all that stuff with locating her where she was on the app. And it felt so weird and not like a good environment to do something you love growing up. That's kind of why we were just kind of salty. Yeah. Most of that episode, because we just couldn't believe an institution would have that set like that, I guess, or like a professional, by the sport or organization would ever put their players or their girls through that, right? Yeah. Or whoever's on a cheerleading team. I don't really know the in and outs to it, but the personnel. Yeah. Right? Like, why would you do that to freshmen?
I know. And I think
I think character too.
Yeah, I think this podcast is good because it gives people like Nikki, the player, who often don't have the microphone, an opportunity to tell you what it's like. Yeah.
And what to expect, maybe.
Yeah.
Even if like you're going to a school and it might not be funded correctly for certain clubs or sports, then maybe that's something you have to expect.
Yeah. Or consider.
Or definitely consider.
Yeah.
Because if your trainer's not there and you break your finger and you're told to get up, what are you going to do? Quit the team or keep going? Yeah. It's kind of a weird situation to put yourself in.
And Nikki kept going.
Because
she's a savage.
Yes.
Yeah. And she's tough. Tougher than me. Probably. Maybe. Maybe we'll fight on it.
Dude, like I said, I broke my toe and I couldn't even walk.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, dude, I can barely walk. And then I'm like, I got to go play golf for the school. And I'm walking the course, right? I'm like, dude, I can't even move.
I know.
She's out here doing the 2 broken fingers. Like, she's getting flown off the mat. Yeah. Hitting her head, taking hard falls. I probably would just lay there.
Yeah. And newsflash, cheerleading is a tough sport to partake in. Yeah.
I didn't know that. And I was like, dude, you think like we have put on pads, we think we're tough. How about you don't put on pads? You do a fucking somersault and 10 feet in the air and then someone doesn't catch you. Yeah. Yeah, it's like jumping off a cliff.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. But Nikki, hope school's going well if you're listening.
Yeah, shout out Nikki.
And thanks for coming on. She was the last episode in season 1. And then
that was the episode when we talk about grassroots projects.
Yep.
That was the episode where the mics completely just blew up, you know?
Yep.
Something went wrong with our audio and we had to use the camera audio. But we had to post the episode because we liked the episode a lot. We're not just going to redo a whole episode.
Yeah.
I feel like that's unfair to Nikki too.
Yep.
So, but hey, we learned and we're very, very careful now.
And we're better now.
We are much better now.
Yeah.
Which is good.
We're good. And we're already off and running in season 2.
Yeah, we already recorded one.
Yeah, we're not going to tell you. We already had a great guest. I'm not going to give any more hints.
Very large guest, as they say. A person who towers over many.
Do you want to give the height?
Probably like 6'5".
6'5".
Probably.
Yeah.
6'4" at the least.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just telling my mom, I was like, dude, I looked, I was at the shoulders.
Yeah. I was like a foot smaller.
And then I looked at Ed, and Ed was at the nips. And I was like, dude. What?
I was. I remember he said his height, and I was like, damn, that's like a foot taller than me.
It's a solid 6'7" more than me.
Yep. So yeah, already on season 2, well on the way. And I think Dreda and I were talking behind the scenes, and we wanted to talk about, or we were talking about who's coming on next, but also open it up to the listeners. Yeah, we'll leave it up to the viewers, and if you have somebody in mind, you know, listening to this podcast and think that they may be a good guest, or you know you have a connection that you're like, hey, you guys can really benefit from listening to this person, like, I'm all ears, you know?
Yeah, of course.
And we've invited people up until this point of, you know, people that we're friends with and kind of just been wheeling and dealing with being like, hey, you're around Middleborough, like, you want to come through the studio and come on, but we're always open to suggestions and people who we don't know, like we talked about that before, like of getting the chance to meet newer people as we go forward. But the other thing too is we could always open that Zoom door.
Yeah.
And they don't have to come to the studio.
Nope.
And once we open that Zoom door, there's some stuff that could happen.
There's a lot of interesting people.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, I'm just going to say this right now. You look up Devontae Freeman on Twitter, dude. Guy follows me. Professional football player. Played in that crazy Patriots Super Bowl.
He played in the 28-3. That's interesting.
And look at his first like, dude. It's me. His most recent like on Twitter is me.
So are you boys with Devontae Freeman?
Look, you know, I wouldn't say boys, but there's something there.
All right, there is something there. So Devontae, if you ever get the message from Alex,
technically it's Devonta.
Oh, my bad.
I'm pretty sure it's Devonta.
Is it
Devonta Freeman? Yeah, I don't know if he pronounces those last part of his first name Tay. I think it's Devonta.
So we're gonna have to clarify that.
We do have to clarify that because I think it's spelled differently than like the Devontae Adams.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But that'd be crazy.
Devontae, if you're listening, let's go.
Hey, Devontae Adams, if you're listening.
Devonta, fuck. Devontae.
No disrespect, obviously.
NFL guys, savages.
NFL guys, UFC guys.
Yeah,
we cool.
We're looking into
some, you know,
some names. Yeah, through some connections, but yeah, if you have somebody that you're interested in, hit us up. We should post like a form or something on Instagram.
That'd be wild.
Right?
Do you have what it takes?
No, not like that. Use the wrong word. Like a suggestion thing. You know how you can put like, who should I have on? And then you type in an answer and then they send it to you. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, and then we tag them and make them really pressured.
Yeah, let's make them like pressured and really uncomfortable.
Yeah, just really uncomfortable to come on
and
a podcast.
Super nervous.
Yeah.
That'd be sick.
Yeah, and just have the worst episode ever. Yeah.
That would be awesome. Yeah, so send us a suggestion. Maybe we should say it as send us a suggestion for us to feel really weird and awkward, and we'll do like a press conference where we like write down like 50 questions and then like not talk about anything besides
exactly
like what they do.
Opposite of what we do now to some random person.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
That would be imagine that'd be so boring.
Yeah.
The most boring podcast ever.
Yeah.
We just have conversations. That's it.
Well,
but we should also do questions.
Yeah.
Like a segment where if someone, like one of our listeners or someone who follows us wants to know a certain thing about somebody, maybe like a question. Oh, you wish you heard this out of somebody. Things like that, like questions from a listener or a viewer.
Where we reach out to our former guests and see if they answer those questions. Is that where you're going?
You could either do that or for future podcasts or future guests. Like, what would you want to hear a guest talk about other than the normal things we talk about? What its experiences, mental side of things.
So do you think that, and this is genuine, we haven't talked about this before. I'm asking you and I'm asking the people listening, is it better to announce who's coming on the podcast so people can ask, or keep it a secret? Not a secret, like a unveil.
I think it's better to be a secret, personally.
All right, we'll keep it like that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's better to be a secret.
All right.
Because you're going to know the day it drops.
True.
So you get a teaser anyway, like on that Monday. We're not just going to announce the person on Monday. We're just going to drop it. You know what I mean? The day of.
Yeah.
I feel like that's way better than announcing, hey, this person's coming on. Look out for it in a couple days.
Just drop it now, right?
Just drop it. Like, they want to hear it. If they want to hear it, they want to hear it now. Like, don't just announce it. Oh, let's get excited for it. No, let's just drop the conversation.
Yeah. Okay.
But I think a generalized questionnaire from someone who's a listener would be cool, because they probably have insight too.
Yeah.
And a lot of people we talk to have insight on it too. They want to hear, oh, I wish we could hear more about this person in this certain area that we not skimmed over, but we kind of briefly touched on it and didn't dive deeper into it. I mean, maybe we could do something like that.
Let's do that on Instagram. We'll open it up to questions that we may have missed with guests. And if we get a lot of feedback on that, we can reach right back out to the people we've had and say, hey, do you have time to answer this question? And they might say, nah, I don't want to answer that.
Yeah.
Or whatever the case may be. But then we could also do another one that says, like, hey, I'm really interested in having a teacher on. I am an aspiring teacher.
Yeah.
Do you guys know a teacher that you could have on to give us the full perspective of this person? I have no problem doing that.
Yep, no problem doing that at all.
Yeah. And
something like that would be cool.
Yeah, we can find somebody like where,
I know teachers.
Yeah.
Or if you have a suggestion, just in general, like how to improve this podcast.
Yeah.
That would be
Fire
away. We would rather have more people just reaching out to us talking about the podcast than just listening, honestly.
My girlfriend Erin said that we really needed an intro song. And now you have it, Erin.
Yeah, look what you did.
She was right, though. I mean,
she was the catalyst to a Grammy-nominated song.
Yeah. I mean, this is our first time doing it, so I'm not a podcast expert.
Yeah, you never know.
I honestly don't really listen to too many podcasts. Like, I have a select few that I listen to.
Yeah.
But I haven't really taken anything from those podcasts and been like, hey, we should really do this.
Yeah.
I think I don't know about you, man, but I'm kind of just like winging it almost a little bit. Just coming in here and being like, hey, this is a good idea. Oh, I should buy that. Okay.
Yeah, no.
Let's do that.
Yeah, I can see that. I don't know. I just think interactions is the better way to go. You always want to interact with something. Even like, let's just break it down to the dumbest thing, like a sports team. Social media. They post, yo, win free jersey, come to the lounge at Foxborough.
Yep.
Like, if you're a true supporter, you know what I'm saying? Oh, come get this signed thing. Like, I know they're giving stuff away, but there's always those fans who want to go that extra, not fans, but people who listen, who care about what we're talking about, who want to go to the next step and maybe even help out or see how they could interact more deeply with the pod.
And you just brought up a good point. If you're somebody who has something, like whatever you do for a job, or, you want to be branded, or you want to have this out there. I know, we're not million viewers here, but if you let us help you.
Yeah, you want something. I'm not saying like you sponsoring us is going to give you, like a crazy revenue boost, but if you want something consistently here, like we're going to have Dervy here forever. You know what I mean? We shout out Dervy. That's our guest. We're always going to support him. I was wearing a Derva sweatshirt in our podcast that we just recorded.
I wear his hat all the time.
Yeah.
Seriously, I love his hat.
You want to add to the collection at this table, please reach out,
Yeah. And going back to the social media thing for like a sports team, Like, I have old Little League jerseys that I could sign. And that was a joke. You didn't react to that at first? You thought I was being serious.
It just clicked in my head that you said the Little League jerseys I could sign. I was like, oh, he's going to say some cool shit about jerseys that he has? And I was like, wait.
No, I was talking about signing it. I'm just kidding. That went over your head. That went over your head. Yeah, we don't have a social media team with, like, memorabilia to sign, so we'll work on that. I was kidding.
Ross Randu, if you want me to sign the baseball that I hit a grand slam off you, let me know.
Bro, that's like the 4th time you brought up Ross. We could do like a Ross Rando compilation.
It's my
now.
running joke because I know he listens to this podcast. Like, he told me that he listens, he loves it. So every time I can make a joke about that, I'm going to take advantage of it.
Yeah.
I am so sorry to anyone who has to listen to that because it will be said at least 10 more times.
And
who knows when? There. But when it comes to my head and I can make the joke, it will be said.
And he's sitting there going,
he's like, this motherfucker.
Yeah. But yes, I mean, I think that's what we'll do moving forward. We just thought of it on the table. We didn't talk about this before, but I think this before season 2 drops, because this will be the first episode in season 2, we'll start putting it out on Instagram. Suggestions, people you want on. What can we do better? What do you think of this? What do you think of that? And we'll just put it on our Instagram. At The Full Perspective on Instagram. And
at if you have... Full Perspective Pod.
Oh, pod. At The Full Perspective Pod. Fuck.
There you go.
That's my bad.
I mean, they could probably find it anyway. Or just literally go to his Instagram. It's probably in his bio. It's in my bio on Instagram. Yeah.
That's on me.
Hey, you know.
It is what it is, right?
Grassroots program.
Yeah. But other than that, I think...
Yeah, we're good.
I think we're good.
Season 2.
Tune in season 2. And I know it sounds cliche, and I said it after the first 5 guests, and we had some pretty cool guests after that, but we're going up here. We have some very good guests in mind.
We have like 780 downloads.
Yeah. And
it's pretty good.
I wasn't even talking about numbers. I was just talking about like going up as in like we're going to have some cool people.
Oh, yeah, too. Definitely. And I'm talking about numbers like me, numbers guy.
You're the numbers guy.
We're steadily growing, which is good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not like, yes, like I want this. It's more like I want people to hear the stories.
Yeah.
So I'm happy that it's growing, and the more people we get, listening, the more they can go back into the episodes and they can take from them. So that's 100%. What I'm really proud of.
I agree. I'm very, very proud as well. But yeah, I think that's it.
That's it.
Season 2 well on the way. You just listen to season 2, episode 1 of us reviewing all our guests, and we'll come back, me and Alex, halfway through the season and reflect on our guests. But in the meantime, tune in.
And hit us up.
Yep. And we're going to have some cool guests on.
Absolutely.